This morning's story is my favorite from childhood, Miss Rumphius by Barbara Cooney. I've had to shorten it some, and the best part is really the pictures, so please come forward after the service if you're interested, and I'll leave the book here for you to look at. Miss Rumphius. The Lupin lady lives in a small house overlooking the sea. In between the rocks around her house grow blue and purple and rose-colored flowers. The Lupin lady is little and old, but she has not always been that way. I know. She is my great aunt, and she told me so. Once upon a time, she was a little girl named Alice, who lived in a city by the sea. From the front stoop, she could see the wharves and the bristling masts of tall ships. Many years ago, her grandfather had come to America on a large sailing ship. Now he worked in the shop at the bottom of the house, making figureheads for the prows of ships. Alice's grandfather was an artist. He painted pictures, too, of sailing ships and places across the sea. When he was very busy, Alice helped him put in the skies. In the evening, Alice sat on her grandfather's knee and listened to his stories of faraway places. When he had finished, Alice would say, "When I grow up, I too will go to faraway places, and when I grow old, I too will live beside the sea." "That is all very well, little Alice," said her grandfather, "but there is a third thing you must do." "What is that?" asked Alice. "You must do something to make the world more beautiful," said her grandfather. "All right," said Alice, but she did not know what that could be. In the meantime, Alice got up and washed her face and ate porridge for breakfast. She went to school and came home and did her homework, and pretty soon she was grown up. Then my great-aunt Alice set out to do the 3 things she had told her grandfather she was going to do. She left home and went to live in another city far from the sea and the salt air. There she worked in a library. People called her Miss Rumphius now. She also set out to see the world. My great-aunt, Miss Alice Rumphius, climbed tall mountains where the snow never melted. She went through jungles and across deserts. She saw lions playing and kangaroos jumping, and everywhere she made friends that she would never forget. Finally, she came to the land of the lotus eaters, and there, getting off a camel, she hurt her back. "What a foolish thing to do," said Miss Rumphius. "Well, I have certainly seen faraway places. Maybe it is time to find my place by the sea." And it was, and she did. From the porch of her new house, Miss Rumphius watched the sun come up. She watched it cross the heavens and sparkle on the water, and she saw it set in glory in the evenings. She started a little garden among the rocks that surrounded her house, and she planted a few flower seeds in the stony ground. Miss Rumphius was almost perfectly happy. "But there is still one more thing I have to do," she said. "I have to do something to make the world more beautiful." The next spring, Miss Rumphius was not very well. Her back was bothering her again, and she had to stay in bed most of the time. The flowers she had planted the summer before had come up and bloomed in spite of the stony ground. She could see them from her bedroom window, blue and purple and rose-colored. "Lupins," said Miss Rumphius with satisfaction. After another hard winter, spring came. Miss Rumphius was feeling much better. Now she could take walks again. One afternoon, she started to go up and over the hill where she had not been in a long time. "I don't believe my eyes," she cried when she got to the top. For there, on the other side of the hill, was a large patch of blue and purple and rose-colored lupins. "It was the wind," she said, as she knelt in delight. Then Miss Rumphius had a wonderful idea. She hurried home and got out her seed catalogs. She sent off to the very best seed houses for 5 bushels of lupin seed. All that summer, Miss Rumphius, her pocket full of seeds, wandered over fields and headlands sowing lupins. Her back didn't hurt her anymore at all. Now some people called her that crazy old lady. The next spring, there were lupins everywhere. Fields and hillsides were covered with blue and purple and rose-colored flowers. They bloomed along highways and down lanes. Bright patches lay around the schoolhouse and in back of the church. Miss Rumphius had done the third, the most difficult thing of all. Now they call her the Lupin Lady. "When I grow up," I tell her, "I too will go to faraway places and come home to live by the sea." "That is all very well, little Alice," says my aunt, "but there is a third thing you must do." "What is that?" I ask. "You must do something to make the world more beautiful." "All right," I say, but I do not yet know what that can be. I started this morning with the story of one Alice, and I continue with another. Alice in Wonderland, wandering around in some confusion, encounters the Cheshire Cat. She asks, "Would you tell me, please, which way I ought to go from here?" "That depends a good deal on where you want to get to," said the cat. "I don't much care where," said Alice. "Then it doesn't matter which way you go," said the cat. "So long as I get somewhere," Alice added as an explanation. "Oh, you're sure to do that," said the cat, "if you only walk long enough." If we only walk long enough, we are sure to get somewhere. That Alice in Wonderland quote is often mistakenly referred to as, "If you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there," which is actually a line from a George Harrison song. But I think most of us do have an idea of where we want to go. Perhaps we haven't been asked to articulate it clearly, but all of us have dreams and longings, visions for ourselves and the world. We have an idea of what we would like to create, what we would like to change, places we would like to see, how we would like to feel. We probably fall somewhere between the Alices, one with no idea where she would like to go, and one with 3 well-defined goals to chart her life course by. I was joking a while back with Michael that if you only look at my sermon titles and topics, I could appear somewhat schizophrenic in my thinking, saying yes, then a few weeks later, "Not my table, hun." Good enough, followed by "You're not special." Be here now. And today, what are we working toward? I could just as well be preaching, "It's not the destination, it's the journey." But instead, today I am preaching, where are we going? What are we working toward? I think we should know. I think it can help. As they are fond of saying in academia, it's a both-and situation. It is about the journey, and sometimes it helps to chart a course. Because if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. Now, I'll admit I wrestle mightily with the power of positive thinking. I wrestle with it because it seems sometimes to ignore the complex realities of society. It has the danger of blaming the victim. I know that our economic and social contexts offer many factors that outweigh positive thinking and goal setting in many respects. And I believe that we do have some agency, some power to chart our own course. I know that we are not all afforded the same opportunities in life. I've been thinking in particular this week about undocumented children at the US-Mexico border. But we do all have dreams. And understanding and expressing our intentions is a powerful way to orient ourselves in the direction of those dreams. This spiritual exercise is not unlike one that might be assigned by a career coach. Where do you want to be in 5 years? They might ask. In 10? Or for those of us at the end of our career path, it might feel a little bit more like being asked to make a bucket list. What do you want to see and do before you die? What do you want to leave behind? We can articulate our goals and dreams as individuals or in community. What are our hopes for this meeting house, for our families, for our country? Movements and revolutions have been based on people coming together to articulate a common dream, a common goal. The civil rights movement was fueled by a common articulated vision of equality. They knew what they were working toward. They had to. On the really hard days, it was the clarity of the dream that kept them going, that keeps us going. And there are those dreams that form in childhood, in backyard hammocks or on the front stoop with a group of friends. Some of them we give up on, of course. How many of you wanted to go to the moon? But some of those childhood dreams have shaped who we are today. We've formed our lives around them because we wanted them so deeply. Growing up in the South Bronx in the 1950s, Jeffrey Canada had a difficult childhood. Looking around his neighborhood, he saw poverty, crime, violence, drugs. And in the midst of that reality, Canada set 2 goals for himself. He wanted to get out, and he wanted to come back to make things better. It wasn't an easy feat to make it out of the Bronx alive, to get an education. Once he had received his bachelor's degree from Bowdoin and his graduate degree from the Harvard School of Education, he could have gone anywhere. But he had made that teenage pledge to go back to New York, to make a difference. And so he did. Jeffrey Canada founded the Harlem Children's Zone in New York City. The Harlem Children's Zone is aimed at doing nothing less than breaking the cycle of generational poverty for the thousands of children and families it serves. Starting with 1 city block and growing over the years to include nearly 100 blocks of central Harlem, the Harlem Children's Zone provides holistic services to the neighborhood, including a preschool program, 3 public charter schools, parenting workshops, college assistance, and child-oriented health programs for thousands of families. It has become a national model for breaking the cycle of poverty. Of course, not just one man made all of this possible, but I believe his 2 dreams did. Get out and come back. Miss Rumphius built her life on 3 dreams: travel the world, live by the sea, make the world more beautiful. So the question this morning is, what are we working toward? What are the dreams that we want to navigate our lives by? I remember during my hospital chaplaincy rotation, we were asked during a retreat to act out the dynamics of our small group of student chaplains. We were gathered for the day with student chaplains from other hospitals, and we were all doing this exercise together. I forget what all the other groups did, although my memory was that they were all along the lines of an enormous hug or some other warm and fuzzy variation on that theme. My group quickly formed a lifeboat in which we were navigating rough seas and hanging on for dear life. It felt accurate. Then the next step in the assignment came. We had to add to our human sculpture the figure of our supervisor. Yikes. Immediately, all of us thought shark, but realized that wouldn't go over very well. So we put our heads together for a different metaphor. We watched other groups as they incorporated their supervisor by putting him or her at the center of the hug, or encompassing all of them in a wide embrace. One group supervisor took each of them by the hand and gently guided them to the other side of the room. But this was not our experience, and time was ticking. Our supervisor eyed us from across the room. Eventually, we came up with the role of compass. Our supervisor was a compass that we in our lifeboat could consult. She did not hug us or hold our hand, but she did orient us in the right direction when we went adrift. She did hold up again and again, true north. Maybe that is what the power of positive thinking, the power of dreaming, the power of goal setting is like. It doesn't solve everything. It doesn't make everything feel safe or turn out just right, but it does hold up again and again, true north. At the end of the year, one of my peers bought our supervisor an expensive silver compass, and I reluctantly chipped in $30. I think she was touched. I'm not sure. That experience as a hospital chaplain set me on my course as a minister and taught me more than all of my schooling combined. And it also gave me the metaphor that has been so helpful to me since then, that of the compass. A compass is not like a map. It doesn't ensure that you will never stray from the path, take the road less traveled by, get lost. A compass is not a GPS system. It will not recalculate for you so that you know how to get back to your original plan. But it will reorient you to north so that eventually you can find your way if you know which direction you are headed. May our articulated dreams become our compass. May we figure out where we want to go and use those heartfelt longings as our guide. May we get out, come back, live by the sea. May we make the world more beautiful. Amen, and blessed be.